The F-111 can drop foil as an electronic countermeasure, and flares can be discharged to confuse heat-seeking missiles. One of the original requirements of the TFX project was that the design should allow for landing on short, makeshift runways. General Dynamics met the challenge by inventing high-flotation, variable terrain landing gear. Another important F-111 feature that was brand new was terrain-following radar. This system allows pilots to select an operating height above ground of as little as 200 feet. When the control is set, the aircraft can fly at over 600 miles an hour by its forward terrain scanning radar, adjusting its height automatically. A manual mode allows pilots to use the radar-gathered information reproduced on a cockpit instrument display. Thus, it is possible for the F-111 to fly at night, in all weather, and still remain low enough to avoid radar detection.
The reason why I love flying the F-111 is because of the ground attack mode that it does. It flies low level at high speeds, any weather, day or night. It has the capability in the systems to do that, anywhere from 200 feet to 1,000 feet. I do not necessarily have to be flying the jet at that time because of the automatic systems. I'm enclosed in a capsule that protects me from the environment in case we have to leave the aircraft or eject, and that's an advantage that I like.
The F-111 requires more systems knowledge than most because the mission is longer, so that if something does go wrong, it takes more time to recover the airplane because you're at a greater distance. And it takes someone that stays on top of it. As you can imagine, operating 200, 300, 400 feet above the ground in a snowstorm at night going through the mountains, you have to be ready for just about any eventuality.
The F-111 was the first production aircraft in aviation history to employ variable swing wings. But the story of the swing wing really goes back to the Second World War. Messerschmitt produced several swing wing designs and actually built the P-1101, but it never flew. Much of this design was used in the American Bell X-5, built after the war. This model flew successfully, as did the Grumman Jaguar, although neither plane was developed. For high-speed flight, the F-111's wing could be swept back to form a delta configuration. An intermediate position was often used for economical mid-range flight. A full forward position was available for takeoff, landing, and low-speed flying. The plane could literally be redesigned in flight to suit the role it had to perform. Within the surface of the wing, flaps, slats, and fuel, together with their operating mechanisms, had to work side by side. To enable the forward slats to function, General Dynamics built a glove that also acted as an airfoil. The development of the Air Force F-111A model continued through the early 60s, and good progress was made as the new technology was put through its paces. Dynamics and the Air Force were both pleased with the progress of their groundbreaking state-of-the-art aircraft. But Grumman, which was developing the Navy's F-111B model, had less success with its prototypes. The Navy was not happy with its new plane. Given Secretary of Defense McNamara's commitment to standardization, the Navy had little choice but to accept the B version of the F-111. But the F-111 prototypes were just too heavy for successful carrier use. Two expensive weight reduction programs failed to reduce the B model's weight by the required 20,000 pounds. Worse, the modification process had radically reduced standardization. The F-111B model was a beautiful aircraft, but it never saw service. In July of 1968, the Navy canceled the F-111B program. Instead, it went ahead with its new dedicated fleet defense fighter, Grumman's F-14 Tomcat. But the F-111A continued testing. The Air Force's Harvest Reaper program was launched to bring the F-111 to combat readiness. By early 1968, after 8 months of testing, it was decided that the F-111 should be tried out in actual combat conditions in Vietnam. Six aircraft from the 474th Tactical Fighter Wing were deployed from Nellis Air Force Base to Thailand. The F-111A flew out of the Royal Thai Air Force Base at Tak Lee. The combat testing and evaluation program was called Combat Lancer. The Thai base put the new planes within striking distance of North Vietnam. Unfortunately, the results were not all good. Within 2 weeks, 2 F-111s were lost without a trace. Less than a month later, another 111 went down. But this time, the crew ejected, and the wreckage was found and examined. The losses caused bad publicity back home and were wrongly attributed in some news reports to ground fire. After 50 missions had been flown, Operation Combat Lancer ended. The 3 remaining F-111s returned to Nellis for more testing. Afterwards, engineers discovered that the losses in Vietnam were caused by a failure in the plane's massive horizontal stabilizer. Then, in December of 1969, a Nellis-based F-111 lost a wing, resulting in a fatal crash. All F-111s were grounded. The entire program was placed under intense scrutiny. The wing problem was traced to a failure in the wing pivot box. These were hard times for General Dynamics. For the expense of developing the twin designs, considerable cost overruns, and the losses in Vietnam had caused the new fighter bomber to suffer at the hands of the press and political opponents alike. General Dynamics